Welcome to Empowered by Iron, hosted by Dr. Kristen Lander from Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching and Mary Morton from Grad Gains, the online resource for your fitness needs. Together, we are empowered by iron. To our episode this week, we actually have a really exciting guest this week. We have Sarah Robles, right, Sarah? I said it so close, almost. She's the 2016 Olympian. She got bronze in the 75 kilo and above class, which actually broke the 16-year drought of female medalists in weightlifting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, welcome to the show, Sarah. We're so excited to have you on. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about you and what your sport is? Obviously weightlifting, but if you could elaborate a little more and what other hobbies you might have?
A little bit about me. Okay, well, I'm from a little desert town called Desert Hot Springs. People think where I'm living right now, Amarillo, is a small town, but I was like, what? 75,000 people? That's a big town. So where I'm from, it's pretty small, but it's nice, just the desert. I have one brother, and let's see, I used to compete in track and field, and I had received a couple of D1 scholarships for that before I ended up switching full-time to weightlifting. I used weightlifting as part of my strength and conditioning program for track, and I competed in a few local meets and really liked it, but didn't decide to switch over until a few years later. In 2008, when I was competing at Arizona State, I was redshirted. I was looking for a place to train, and so I found one of my old coaches at the time, and he had told me, hey, if you lift those numbers that you say you're capable of doing, then you can medal at junior nationals. So I met him on a Thursday, and I competed that Sunday, and I qualified for my first junior nationals.
Holy cow.
And junior nationals is like a month or two away, so I competed at that. And then I placed number 8 on the ranking list for the women nationally, or the junior national ranking list. I was number 8, and they'd take the top 7 to go on the junior world team. And the girl above me had pulled off of the team, so fortuitously I got the opportunity to go to the junior world championships, and I got a silver medal. I was like, okay.
How long had you been? How long had you been lifting at that time, like competitively?
Let me see. I think that meet was in February, and I probably had met my coach in like January or December.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. So I'm like, okay.
You're like, yeah, I'm strong.
My coach at ASU and I weren't really getting along very well, and we decided that we weren't going to work together anymore, so I decided to give weightlifting a try for a full year, and if I liked it, then I'd stick with it, and if I didn't, then I still had more years of eligibility for track. So I gave weightlifting a try for a year, and in that time, so that would be in the 2009 season, I had received a scholarship to Northern Michigan University, and I won my first senior national championships, went to my first senior world championships, and placed 11th there. And then I competed at the Pan Am Championships, and so I was like, I think I'll stick around. So if you don't know much about our sport, it's weightlifting. It's not powerlifting. It's not bodybuilding. It's none of those. It's the only barbell sport in the Olympics. It's been a women's sport since I think 1987, I'm going to say. But it's been an Olympic sport only since 2000. And that's where we had the first ever Olympic gold medalist. She was an American. Her name was Tara Knott. She was a 48 kilo lifter. And we had Cheryl Hayworth, who was in my weight class. She got the bronze medal. And it's been since her that since 2000 and her medal that we've even had medalists until I came along. We compete in the snatch and the clean and jerk. And the snatch is a single movement from the floor caught overhead in one motion. The lift takes a total of about 0.6 seconds to complete from the floor to overhead. So it's one of the fastest human movements outside of probably the pitch in baseball. Then you have the clean and jerk, which a lot of people consider the king of lifts, which is from the floor to the shoulders, and the shoulders thrown overhead in 2 motions. And that's an exercise where you'll see a lot of variations of that, at least done somewhere in a gym in high school or college or something. So when people are familiar with any kind of weightlifting, they like, oh, the clean and jerk or whatever, they have some kind of familiarity with that. We do other lifts, like people would commonly think we do squat, bench, deadlift, blah, blah, blah. That's powerlifting. But we do a lot of that stuff as a supplement for our training. So you get 3 lifts in each category, and the highest lift that you complete is added together for a total, and whoever has the highest total wins. There are now 8 weight classes for women, versus there was 8 for men and 7 for women. Now it's even, which is good. Yay for gender equality, right?
Yes.
They just now added the 90 kilo plus weight classes, which is what I'll be competing in from now on, versus 75 kilo plus. Weightlifting is really cool because it is it's all encompassing. You know, I've seen little kids from like 8 to old people 80 plus, you know, lifting weights, and then you see little kids and little boys and girls lifting under 48 and 56 kilos, which is like whatever, like 105 pounds, to my weight class, which is 180 pounds plus. You know, so you're going to see a wide variety of weight classes, and we compete within our own several weight classes, so it's fair. You're not really going to have someone like me competing against somebody who's 105 pounds. It's just not reasonable. So it's cool. It gives everybody an opportunity to do something great and to be able to utilize their body in a good way.
That was probably the best explanation I've ever heard of Olympic lifting. That was awesome. You know, I hadn't really been introduced to it all that much until I met her, and then I watched the Olympics, so I watch you lift, and I have to say, like, clean and jerk and the snatch, if they're done properly, are like the most elegant lifts. Like, I could watch them in slow motion, I think, all day. It's just beautiful how much skill and technique is involved in that. You know, people are like, oh, the clean, yeah, I can clean. You're like, but can you really clean?
Yeah. Exactly. It's like what people like. If you do it right, it looks easy. It looks effortless. I mean, obviously, there's a time where you're going to be lifting max lifts where your technique might be a little off, obviously. But I mean, I tell people like, dude, do you realize how much weight they just put over their freaking head? You know, you can't even like give someone a stick and tell them to do a squat with it. They can't even do it. And you're like, okay, well now imagine doing that with 440 pounds in less than a second.
Right. You know, and you're just throwing it, just throwing it over your head and like hoping to God that you are strong enough and that everything is in the right place and it's not gonna, you know, come crashing down on you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd just like to point out that it was Sarah lifting that made you think it was elegant, not me lifting, because my lifting is not elegant.
I think that's the first time anything about me has ever been described as elegant, so that makes me feel good. I will be so proud.
So you, until very recently, when the Olympic Training Center was closed this resident program for weightlifting, you lived there for quite a while. How long were you at the Olympic Training Center?
I was there for a year in 2010. That was just after my stint at Northern Michigan University, which the main purpose of the program is to act as a feeder program and to prepare kids to be ready to go to the Olympic Training Center. So within my year there, I was able to go. I had applied like 2 or 3 times, and finally they accepted me to go. I was also so new at weightlifting, so they were kind of like hesitant to like probably even get me in. Mm-hmm. The coach even complained about my penmanship on the application. I'm like, I'm here to lift weights, not be your scribe, but whatever. I was there for a year, but there was a lot of coaching changes. They originally had 2 coaches and then fired the women's coach, but kept the men's coach overall. And then he ended up quitting, and then they rehired the guy that they fired. But he was only to be interim until they brought in the Polish coach that we currently have. And I was like, hold up, I moved here so I can train consistently through the Olympics. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to Arizona and train with my coach. And so I was with him for a good while. I was with him until September of 2013. So I had a good ride there. But I came back to the Olympic Training Center after the Olympic trials. No. Sorry. After, it was January? That's what it was. I'm trying to think of the time frame. A lot has happened in this past
It sounds
year and a
like,
half, but,
well, considering you got swept up into the sport in a span of 2 months, you have a lot in between there and now.
Yeah, there's a lot has been crammed into a short period of time in my weightlifting career. But I was there for a few months before Olympic trials. So I had, in February of 2013, I moved to Houston and I trained there for a couple of years, or a year and a half, whatever. And then I decided that, okay, well, the last few months before the Olympic trials, I want to make sure that I do everything possible to put myself in a situation to make this Olympic team, because I had known that I was basically working against a lot of different odds, a lot of things trying to keep me back from making that team. So I went to the Olympic Training Center so I can get rid of some distractions, and I didn't have to have a job or worry about anything, just focus on my training. Now, it's not necessarily the best fit for me. I think the coach and I kind of butted heads a lot with the training program, and I ended up getting way more nicks and things than I usually have, even though I had sports med there. I train in Houston and train in my coaches' garages and warehouses and all this kind of stuff. Man, I don't remember ever being this banged up. And I'm training like half as much as I was somewhere else, so it was just weird. So I was getting banged up a lot and everything. And I was like, well, let's see if I make the Olympic team, and then I'll evaluate if I want to stay here through the Olympics or if I want to go back to Houston. And so I decided that it was a better fit to move back to Houston. So in total, I was at the training center for about a year and a half. And it's a great concept, but it's not for everybody. And it's a program, too, that's always been under threat of, you see, like, the original program when it was set up in, 95 or getting ready for the 96 Olympics, I think it was, that you had, 20 athletes there, and then it got cut, you have 20 to 15 to 10 to 5, and it's like, well, are we going to have a training center next month or not? It's always at risk, and it was almost not worth the stress. I can't guarantee that I'm going to have a home in 2 months. What's the point? You're here to be relieved of that stress.
Yes.
Right. So it was always under threat. So honestly, I kind of wasn't surprised that it closed down, but it's sad because I think it was a good place for a lot of people. It was cool for training camps and stuff like that.
Sure. So where are you now, and are you still training full time, or what are you up to now?
What am I up to now? Good question. I've been kind of living a life of anonymity.
That's a good word.
I live in Amarillo, Texas. I moved out here to pursue a relationship, and I'm training at a place called Panhandle Power. And Coach Brock out here, he's had a couple kids on his club make junior world teams and youth world teams, and his kid right now just broke the Youth American record in the clean and jerk. So I know I got a good pair of eyes on me, and it's a small gym, but it's very supportive. So I'm just out here pursuing hobbies and going on dates and lifting weights. And I was for a while. I took a month off after the Olympics, and then I started training just twice a week, just so I would not atrophy into non-existence. But now I'm starting to kick it up. Last week I went to 3 days a week, and this week I'm doing three days a week again, but I'll be working my way up into 4, and eventually full time. But I'm just slowly working my way back in. I think that the meet I'll compete at will be one of the American Open Series, whatever those things are, and I guess that's be in March. I don't understand. I was like, does it qualify me for something? Good. Okay, I'll go. I don't understand this whole process. So that'll be March, I think, in Reno, Nevada. So that's what I'm gearing up towards. And then the national championships. Hopefully, if this year goes the way I would like it to, I would ultimately like to... they just now reset the American records because they added the new weight class, which is now 90 kilo plus.
Right.
But the records that I've been trying to work towards basically my whole career are in the 75 plus category, and now I can't break them. So I'm super sad. I'm like, no, dang it. But I'm still using that as a standard, so I'm hoping to break, I guess unofficially break Cheryl Hayworth's records of 128, 161, and 287. So I'm not snatch, clean, and jerk in total.
Right.
So that's one of the things I'm hoping to do by the time the end of the year comes, or the end of the weightlifting year, which will be like October of 2017. Right. So in about a year's time, I'm hoping to break those records. And if not, then I'll have to stick around a little longer. Not sure how long I want to keep going for yet. I'm just focusing on 2017. A lot of people, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but a lot of people are asking me, like, well, where are you going to go to 2020? And so today I tweeted, like, right now I'm just worried about where my next bowl of queso is going. And, like, just handling 2017. It's so far to think of.
It really is.
So far away. And it takes so much of your time and your life. And it's like, it's not just you that has to be on board, you know. You have, like, the people who care for you, like, you know, my family's got to be on board for like another 4 years, you know, and it's like my family, my friends, people who support me, like my sponsors, and you know, it's a big 4-year commitment, not just for me, but for everybody that supports me on my journey, because it's not something I can ever do on my own.
Right.
It's too hard to do something like that. So
yeah,
I'll make that decision when that time comes.
Well, speaking of your sponsors, one of the things that prompted Mary and I to want to talk to you, other than the fact that you're just an amazing weightlifter, which is really cool. Yeah. Well, we
have much to offer with t-shirts.
we can like give hugs. I don't know. I had read that because you're in the super heavyweight class, that you don't necessarily get the same types of sponsorship opportunities as, I think it was in your words I read, like a girl in a bikini. If you look good in a bikini, you're going to get sponsorships. And one of our really big things is this scrutiny under which female athletes are placed that our male counterparts definitely don't endure, or at least not to the amount that we do. So what has that been like for you, and do you have some sponsors now, or like how's that whole process going?
I do have sponsors now, a couple of sponsors. It's not like financial sponsors that like are able to help me pay my bills, but it's a start in the right direction, and I feel like I'm supporting the right companies, and I have the right companies behind me for now, at least. So 2012 is coming, and I'm preparing for the Olympics and stuff like that. And that's when I was making the lowest I was making, which was $400 a month for weightlifting. And you see the difference in the opportunities and the equality of paying and all that kind of stuff now compared to then. I remember having discussions with the president of USA Weightlifting at the time, talking to him about how unfair it was for the payments, and it was based on your potential to medal, and so it wasn't actually like based on real life. Yeah, it was like a formula that someone made up. It was like, okay, well, based on this, that, and the other, you have more potential to medal than so and so. But I had, at least through that quad, I had been the highest placing athlete, male or female. So I was actually literally placing closer to the podium than anyone else. Placing 11th, 10th, 11th at the World Championships, where you have other people placing like 12th, 17th, 20th, bombing out, whatever. And so I told him, I was like, well, this isn't fair. Like, if this is a workplace situation, we're literally doing the same exact job, and I'm outperforming you, but I'm getting paid less than half. How is that fair? And he said, well, this is, it's a nonprofit organization. It's not necessarily... it's not, we're not protected by the same workplace laws, blah, 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 blah. And,
which seems like a cover-up.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then they would have it to where, like, they would set the standard, and then I would meet the standard, and then the standard would change all the time. And I don't think it was anything directly to, like, keep me out of getting money or anything. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist kind of person. But it just seemed like that was kind of crazy. And so I remember approaching the ombudsman, and I was like, dude, what's the deal? Our high performance plan is changing all the time. Is this even allowed? He's like, once the high performance plan isn't set in place, it's not supposed to change for the entire quad. And I suppose there's circumstances in which it can, but at the time, the Federation was saying that it was a living document, subject to change at any time. So you're getting conflicting views here, there, and everywhere. And meanwhile, so if you're not getting paid enough to support yourself from your organization, even though you're the highest placing athlete for that organization, where your other forms of income, you're going to have work, but work takes away from your training. Mm-hmm. You're going to have donations, but you can only ask for so many donations for so long, right? I mean, who's going to donate to like actually just help you live every day? And the other option is sponsorships. And so then you get the bit where it was a BuzzFeed article, and I was like, yeah, it's easier to get, sponsorships if you're, super hot in a bikini or, a dude or whatever. Because my experience has been, okay, you're the highest placing athlete in the sport. But I had approached a couple of other companies, for example, and said, hey, this is a list of, these are my athletic accomplishments in 2 different sports. This is what I'm about, blah, blah, blah. And then you get no response or a no thank you, whatever. But then you see the athletes that they are sponsoring and they're men and you're out lifting them. And you're like, what's the deal here? And then you look at all the pictures of the people that they have. So you're like, so this guy is lifting less than me, but he looks this way. This woman is not even competing in anything besides and it's not to take away the sport, but it's like you're competing in fitness or bodybuilding or whatever. It's
Absolutely.
It's a certain body type, it's a certain look, whatever. Even if it's barbell or strength related sports, there's a certain look, there's a certain aesthetic. It's like, okay, well, she has these accomplishments where it's like she got 14th place at a regional thing. I'm like, what? How does that trump being a national champion? I don't understand.
Or an Olympian.
So all these different things, yeah. And then you're like, okay, well, what's the common denominator? It's got to be appearance at some point, right? Because you're, especially with nutrition stuff, food, clothes, a lot of that stuff
absolutely.
is, you're there to market how something looks and matches a fitness ideal and this kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't match that. Sorry. Do I want to? No, not really. I want to lift big weights, and sorry, my size is helping me out. And even if I lost 100 pounds, I'd still be way too big for any of this stuff. So it's just unreasonable. So I'm not even gonna bother. So I ended up getting a sponsorship with Solve Media before London, which was interesting. It was a search engine password optimization kind of thing. It was pretty cool. So they helped me out a lot. But I even had a couple agents trying to help me out. I had one after, while I wasn't competing, while I was in my weird funky suspension time, she was like, hey, yeah, let's work together, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, we got this empowered woman. She understands everything that I'm going through right now, that I'm in a marginalized sport, that I'm a unique athlete. I'm in this particular circumstance. And a year in, nothing's getting accomplished. And she's like, yeah, my financial advisor kind of says that I shouldn't be working with anybody who's not making me money. And I'm like, that's weird, because you're the one who's supposed to be making money, and then you keep a percentage of it. So it's kind of it's your fault that you're not making money. And she was like, yeah, I told you, this is going to be difficult. She's like, yeah, I thought things were going to change within a year. It's like, no, lady, things don't change within a year. It takes a long time for things to change.
We're still fighting that, and it is 2016.
Yeah, and so it's 2016, and here I come, I'm a bronze medalist at this point. Before Rio came around, we got Superfit Hero. They came in, they're a size-inclusive workout apparel company. And she was actually just recently on Project Runway, trying to get some money for some startup, as a startup clothing company.
Cool.
And she's a roller derby girl, and she found out about me, and she liked all my ideals, stuff like this. And one of the things that's great about her company is that her company is size inclusive. So it goes from extra, extra small to 3 extra large. And her tights and her workout clothes are really good. I think she's getting more into getting tops and jackets and stuff like that, but her specialty that she's been working on has been having tights, and they're really, really good. So I like what she's about. So like, they're good people. It's size inclusive, people inclusive, sport inclusive, and our ideals just match. My other sponsor is Pink Blush Artistry, and she's just a girl that I just happened to meet, and she's basically my makeup and like cosmetic sponsor. So like, if I'm in Houston and I'm doing like a photo shoot or something, she'll get me ready for that. She'll do hair and makeup, or she's like, okay, you got XYZ events coming up. This is the look I would recommend for you. This is how you apply your makeup, blah, 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 blah. And so she helps me out a lot with that. And granted, those aren't things that, pay the bills. 360 Jeans is also a sponsor of mine. They provide jeans that are like the stretchiest jeans in the entire world. So it's kind of nice to be able to like actually wear clothes that are comfortable and
and no matter what size you are, if you're a strength athlete, jeans don't feel good. So that's awesome.
Exactly. And especially if you want to like do stuff like, I'm trying to sit down, you got to hike up your jeans and do all this kind of stuff. Like, you don't have to do it with them. So what's great is that she's also worked with straight sizes, and she's got her own company working on plus sizes, so she understands how the clothing industry works too. So I'm in an interesting position, that I'm starting to get involved with these women-founded companies, these women-run companies that really care about women and equality, and just doing the right things. Is it going to pay for my career forever? No, but it takes a little bit of help somewhere for other people to notice, like, hey, someone's taking a chance on you. And after the 2016 Olympics, I've gotten emails and, congratulations, great job, blah, 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 blah. And then, every once in a while people are asking like, well, what kind of sponsorships did you get after the Olympics? And I'm, can you hear the crickets in the back? I don't know. I don't have the crickets. But it's interesting because you see too the culture of weightlifting over the past few years, and it seems like you almost have to have some kind of like crazy personality, you have to have a crazy personality. You have to you have to work so hard to build this brand of yourself to get noticed even, and then you can kind of go from there. Like, I know people who run their own gyms now and have their own vlogs and all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to focus on training. Like, social media is like another job for me that I have to do, unfortunately. Like, I enjoy it a lot, but I was like, I'm not going to be that crazy show-offy kind of person just to get attention for sponsorships. Like, money is important to keep my career going, but it's not something that I'm constantly seeking after. Like, we had this CrossFit lift off, and it's like, I could have easily gotten like $9,000 by lifting in this thing, but I don't do things just for money. Like, if I do it for money, it's because I need it. Right. So like right now I'm okay. USA Weightlifting is doing a good job of taking care of me, but I'm still, of course, looking for sponsorships so I can actually like maybe save money for the future and not have to live paycheck to paycheck kind of stuff, So who knows what opportunities will come. I certainly hope some interesting things come. But yeah, even if you're an Olympic bronze medalist, that doesn't necessarily equate into having sponsorships and huge media opportunities and stuff like that. Like, I saw people they got to go to New York, and I mean, granted, they're like, gold medalists, but like, you're seeing all these opportunities that people are having, and I'm already stressed out. Like, I gotta go to California 3 times in 2 months. I'm like, I can't imagine like what their schedule looks like. I'm like, okay, maybe this is God's way of like, this is all you can handle right now. Like, maybe you don't need more attention.
There's some give and take. Yeah, there's give and take. When I started, so my fitness journey is a lot different than a lot of other people's. I did start, and I thought that in order for me to be fit and for me to compete in anything, it needed to be a bikini, and I needed to look a certain way. And what I found as I, dug into social media and the outlets and whatnot, you realize that these girls who look a certain way and they have X number of followers, the sponsors just, there's lists of them. And they're talking all about body empowerment and how you need to love yourself. And yet, you know, they look a certain way. Every single one of them looks a certain way. And to me, that was never empowering. But I found people like you, and I found people, you know, like Morgan King. You two are very different, and you do the exact same thing. And you both were so inspirational to me, just based on what you can do and not how you look. And, you know, those people like you have taken people like me and made me realize that it doesn't matter. Like, what matters is what you can do. It doesn't matter how you look. And yeah, it's harder now for people like you and other athletes, even other weightlifting athletes, to get sponsors because you don't look a certain way. But I feel like that's changing, and it's because you're starting to change people like me. And I think that is amazing. And I'm sorry, that was a tangent, but it is awesome.
That's a perfect compliment. I think you're absolutely right. I think, especially at this time with social media and with the body positivity movement that's going on, you know, and you're seeing a lot of social change overall. And now you're seeing a lot of social change on media, and you're seeing more brands kind of come around. The hard part is it's all like almost every brand or anything that comes around, it's always like a small company now. So it's not, you know, you're not getting big time endorsements from Nike, Adidas. That it's not necessarily that I want or even care to have those anyway. But you know, it's changing. It's coming around, but at the same time, it's still a difficult market to get into.
It's a grind.
I think there's definitely a future. I think you just got to find the right people with the right ideals and get in there. But yeah, I think I appreciate that. You know, I get every couple days, it almost seems like I get a message like, "Thank you so much for being who you are and what you stand for, and for giving my kids someone to look up to, and this, that, and the other." Because you're right, there are so many other ways to be fit and to be in shape and to be healthy. Like we have a woman in our gym right now, and she got introduced to weightlifting through CrossFit, and she's like, "I hate running." And I was like, "Yeah, you and me both," you know. And it's like, but then you have this stereotypical ideal of like, oh, for women, like if you want to get in shape, oh, you're long, lean muscles. Like they're all muscles, they're all shaped the same. Like I don't understand how one exercise gives you different muscle, but whatever. Anatomy 101 escapes a lot of people. So it's interesting that it's like, okay, get on the treadmill for like 30 minutes wearing your cute sports bra, and you're gonna like miraculously be fit or more fit than someone else. It's like, that's cool. Like, I mean, overall, like we do all want to be fit. We all do want to be healthy, but why does it have to be one specific way? And why does one way have to be more feminine than the other? Like, I think the societal construct of the fitness industry kind of needs to change a little bit too, because your body doesn't recognize something like your body when you touch a barbell. Your body doesn't go, "Oh no, that's a manly exercise." That's your brain,
right?
You know, like. And then when a guy goes running, he's like, "Oh no, like, you know, am I
gonna get hips?
My tent." You know, like, yeah, it's like, it's silly. It's like your body doesn't see any of this stuff as being masculine or feminine or weak or strong. It's just another way that you're there's a physiological response to what you're doing, and how and all that in your mind and the culture around it is what affects people and ultimately inhibits them into becoming their best self.
So true.
You know, there's a lot of people that have been involved in, like, I had a friend, she had a lot of potential in weightlifting, but she ended up quitting a little too soon. But she had spent her whole life doing like triathlons and marathons, blah, blah, blah. And that's not bad. But her body was clearly meant to do something else. But like her only idea of fitness was to do running and stuff. I'm like, dude, your body was meant to do something else. You know, so there's so many people fighting what they're naturally born to do just because it seems like the culturally right thing to do.
Well, if you Google anything, like best workouts for women, and all of a sudden you'll come up with this like sprinting thing or this running thing, and then this detox diet.
It'll be abs. Never like anything with a barbell.
No, it never is. And if you do the same thing for men, and this isn't to bash men, but they do come up with best ways to get size or gain muscle, and then hardly ever comes up with a women's search. Okay, switching gears ever so slightly. So Empowered by Iron is all about how women's everyday lives have been directly influenced by the barbell or lifting. So how has lifting changed your life physically, mentally, or even emotionally? How do you take the principles of the barbell and apply it to your life, basically?
I think over the years, I've definitely learned a lot of life lessons, just from lifting on the bar. It's one of the things that we like to use weightlifting for at Team Houston is we work with a lot of kids, and a lot of kids who are in single parent households and stuff like that, and we like to use it as a way of teaching people life skills. Like, listen, you need to learn discipline. You need to learn to fight even when you want to give up. You know, you got to learn to be consistent, come in all the time. You know, you got to learn how to learn how to listen and communicate with people and stuff like that. And so there's so many things that, like, I had a blog post about it, about the different life skills that I learned. Like, I didn't take public speaking classes, but I meet people all the time. And, you know, I've had to, you know, teach people how to do things. And now I'm a pretty decent public speaker, and I get compliments after I'm done saying, like, hey, I really liked what you said, or I like this particular technique that you use, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, like, is that like speech 101? Like, I didn't learn that in school. You know, so
I taught myself.
Hmm?
I taught myself.
Yeah, you know, it's some of the stuff you kind of learn on the fly. You're like, whoop, that didn't work. That's not the way to communicate. But yeah, so like I've learned like public speaking skills, and because you meet so many people all the time, you learn not to be shy. Like, okay, so in my weight class in my sport, you know, okay, we're wearing singlets. Singlet is like a one-piece bathing suit with a pair of legs on it. Yeah. Everybody can see everything, every bump, lump, whatever. So, and then like your body weight's recorded, so everybody can see that. So I'm like, so what do I care anymore what my body weight is if everybody knows what it is? Like, never ask a lady your body weight. Like, I don't care. Like, the whole freaking world knows what it is.
Right.
And it's like the whole world knows what my body looks like and where I've got fat here or don't have fat here, if I have cheaties, whatever. You know, everybody knows everything about my body. And then you get drug tested randomly, and these people like literally have to see the pee coming out of your body. So I've had strangers that can see my hoo-ha. You know, so it's like you kind of learn to get over a lot of these insecurities because like it really doesn't matter. It's just a body.
Right.
You know, it's not the way that something looks. It's about what it can do and who's on the inside operating that body. You know, I've learned not only a lot of life skills, but I've just learned how to become more confident in myself. I think that when you do barbell sports, you feel empowered with like literally like actual power, you know, like if you're just thinking of sheer power output, you know, it's like it's quantifiable, you know, it's something like, oh, you know, it's harder to tell if someone's become a better person, or it's hard to tell if so-and-so has done this, that, and the other, but this is a quantifiable thing. Like, you can tell you've gotten stronger. You can tell that you've gotten faster or more powerful or whatever. So it's good. It just is, it's reassuring. So you're like, I know that I've improved. Right. You know, I know I've gotten better. And to feel independent, like, okay, well, I know if I'm by myself and I fall down, I can get back up. Or if I know if I fall because my bones are strong from doing this, I'm not going to break. You know, I can change that tire by myself because I can actually handle the jack. You know, I can, you know, there's something in my way, I can jump over it. You know, there's just simple everyday life skills that you know that you can handle because you've put your hands on a barbell, because you know how to move your body properly and you've developed its strength. You know, and there's parts of my body that I love now. Like before, you know, getting involved in sports, it's self-loathing. You know, you're like, I'm fat, I'm gross, like no one's gonna want to date me, and you know, you have all these horrible thoughts, and now it's like, dude, who wouldn't want to date this? You see what my butt looks like right now? Like man, my shoulder, you know, my shoulders, and and sometimes like you see like a photograph of yourself where like you're laughing or something and you just see a sparkle in your eye and you're just like, that's what true beauty and true happiness is, just loving yourself and being comfortable with yourself. And I think a lot of that has come from, you know, doing something that almost seems impossible to someone else. This weight that I just threw over my head, someone else might not even be able to pick up. How could you not feel like a superhero, you know? Like, how could you not feel awesome doing something that's so hard? You know, it's like, if you can do that, you can do so many other things. That's how I approach life too. It's like, you know, people are over here freaking out because head honcho of the store is coming in to investigate. I'm like, dude, if you did your job and did everything right, like, what do you have to worry about? Or, you know, I look at things, I'm like, dude, it's not the Olympics. You know, it's like, you know, I have a certain standard now. It's like, well, there's nothing as nerve-wracking to me as like competing in front of millions of people, you know, with all eyes watching you. So it's like, it doesn't matter. You know, it's like, I can handle stress better. You can go on and on. It's just the being empowered and being happy with yourself and loving yourself and being able to be in a place where there's equality, you know, like the barbell doesn't care if you're a guy or a girl. The barbell doesn't care if you're young or old. You know, the barbell doesn't judge you. It's just nice to be able to do something and feel liberated and feel equal with people and all that stuff, man. Everything's cool. Get to the gym, lift stuff.
That's awesome. That gives me chills to hear you talk about that. Well, so what do you know now that you wished that you knew back when you first started weightlifting?
Ooh, that's a good question. What do I wish I knew now? I'm almost glad I don't know.
You're glad you didn't know what you were in for.
Nothing.
Yeah, really. Okay, because I got started in weightlifting. So my high school coach didn't really push me because he actually used to be a high-level weightlifting coach himself, and he used to put on national-level meets, and his wife was a former American record holder, and she was an Olympic alternate in 2000. And they're the original people that put a barbell in my hands and got me in a couple local meets, but they never actually pushed me into competing in weightlifting. And over the years of weightlifting, like I talked about, like some of the unequal payment and all, you know, that's not even just payment. There was USA weightlifting, they used to be cuckoo bananas, and they're definitely on the right track now. I think we're under really great leadership, and I think we're on the up and up. But old weightlifting was just like a good old boy sport, you know, and then you kind of like realize that I can see why they didn't push me into it at first. You know, and you're kind of like, man, if I had known this, why would I want to do this to myself? Because there's just, you know, and I still, like, if I see I'm a strong enough person, I have enough self-worth that a lot of things that people say to me or do to me now, it doesn't affect my confidence or anything like that. But, you know, every time there's a picture or something of me or a video, like, there's horrible, mean comments and stuff. And it's like, why would you... There's so many positive and wonderful things that override all the negative, but had I known all the negative stuff and had the confidence that I had at the time, I probably wouldn't have committed. Because, like, why would you want to do that to yourself? You know, it's kind of crazy. But there's definitely a shift, the cultural shift. There's in strength sport with plus size women. There's I've definitely matured a lot and have a lot more confidence over the years, but just knowing how things were when I got involved in the sport, I can, like, I'm glad I went in blind, to be honest.
So you have no advice for
yourself. That's a roundabout way of answering the question, but I don't think I'd want to know what I know now, except for, like, maybe if someone said, hey, listen, you really have the potential to do something big. Like, if someone said, Sarah, you can make a difference in the world. Sarah, you can win a medal. Sarah, you can do something like this. If I had known I had that potential, that may have driven me earlier. But I think that all the other nitty and gritty stuff, had I known that beforehand, it would have scared me away. Mm-hmm. But as I went through it, it fortified me more than it would have otherwise.
So would your advice to other women then who want to get involved in competing in sports, what would your advice be? Just ignore the chatter, or what would your advice be?
Yeah, definitely ignore and don't listen to the noise. That's for sure. That's what Kendrick Ferris calls it. He's like, there's a lot of noise, and I mean, there's no matter what you do, no matter where you are, there's going to be noise. But I think the skills that I've learned through weightlifting have helped me handle that, not just in weightlifting, but in life in general. I definitely would never discourage anyone from the sport. I think it's valuable so far as human movement and health is concerned, sports performance, or for a sport itself, or just for recreation, because weightlifting is fun. I would never ever discourage anybody, male, female, old, young, away from the sport. But I mean, it's kind of like just like anything. Like, there's not a lot of people who are going to be at the top, but if you have the potential to be at the top, like, it's not gonna be easy. That's for sure. But I think people like me can. Okay, I'm a religious person, so forgive me if I go on for too much of a religious tangent, but I'm not going to go that far. But I think God's not going to give you more than what you can handle. And so I think God has put me in a situation where I can handle this life. I can handle the things that have been thrown at me. And then I've been able to be, hopefully, a voice of reason. And I hope when I look back on my career and the things that I've done, I've made a positive change in the apparel industry and the fitness industry. With women and kids, I hope I've made a difference enough to where people feel welcome, they feel happy, and they don't have to deal with the stuff that I had to deal with in my career. A woman shouldn't have to go into the sport knowing that she's always going to be 2 steps behind, and that the people above her think that women's weightlifting and masters weightlifting are what's wrong with the sport. I don't think that's going to be the case, and I don't think it's people like. It's not just me. I think a lot of the women before me and a lot of the women that are in the sport right now are helping to pave the way. You see in the gym atmosphere in your local gyms and even the bigger level gyms all the way up to USA Weightlifting, the sport has gotten a lot bigger than it used to be.
Yes.
But the sport is still small. And the sport still does feel intimate at times, and everybody supports each other, and everybody loves each other. I mean, you're not going to go anywhere where there's still not having some kind of weird gym feud or something. I mean, that's inevitable. But it's silly. That's just in every sport, every situation, whatever. Like, there's going to be people who don't agree. But I've been in situations where I'm cheering for people that I'm directly competing against. I'm lifting. I'm like, let's go, Marissa. Because we all are in the same boat, and we all understand what we're going through, and we all love each other, and we all support each other, and we're all. If you think about it, at the end of the day, we're all Team USA. So that's kind of how I view everybody. Like, some people are like, oh, we're all children of God, whatever. We're all Team USA. We're all for the same people. We all love each other. So I would never discourage you from the sport. And don't let any of the bad experiences that I've faced be an indicator of what you're going to experience, because and it's not to sound egotistical, but the particular journey that I've been on has been exceptional. Not exceptional like it's grand, but it truly is the exception
to the rule. Yeah,
it's an exception to the rule. And everything that I've done, it's always been unconventional. I've never fit the mold. I never wanted to fit the mold. I'm tall, I'm fat, I'm weird, I'm strong, I'm super feminist, and that's like all this stuff that like it's not a standard for everything that you see in our culture, and that's good. And I like it, and I would encourage people to be themselves, and weightlifting is just another way you could be themselves. If you know any of the athletes individually that you see, we're all a bunch of weirdos. We're all nerds about something.
Well, you said that you would like to be able to look back on your career and know that like you were inspirational in some way, and just through talking to you, I have to say you've already met that goal. Like you're incredibly inspirational, and I feel like proud to be part of a sport where little girls can look at you and just be incredibly inspired by what you do. And I think that your positivity about yourself and your love for yourself and your self-worth spills over to other people. And I think that's like just obvious just talking to you. And I think that is how we change the world.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully I keep that going for the next however long,
Well, we think you're freaking awesome. Thank you so much for being on our show. Where can our listeners actually find you? Instagram, Facebook? You mentioned you have a blog, maybe?
I have a blog. It's called Pretty Strong Blog. I don't update it as much as I'd like to, but I'm slowly working on it. That doesn't sound really earnest, huh?
Well, weightlifting is your focus, right?
Sorry?
Weightlifting is your focus, right? So...
No, weightlifting's my focus. I just, when I write things, I'm so, like, into explaining everything that it just takes me a long time. And I'm like, do I want to spend, like, 3 hours writing a blog that's, like, 2 paragraphs? It kind of works for me to, like, get on top of it. But, yeah, I have a blog called Pretty Strong Blog. Facebook, Sarah Robles fan page. I have Twitter and Instagram, and both of those are Robolympian, ROBLYMPIAN. Do I have anything else? I don't know. That's pretty much it. I don't do Snapchat or any of this other stuff. It's too much, too complicated, and it eats up space on my phone.
That's the truth.
Whatever, you can deal with it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm on social media, and I'm fairly active. I love talking to people on there and saying silly things and talking about weightlifting.
That's awesome.
World needs more silliness. All right, thank you.
If you like what you heard today, please help us connect with other female badasses. We would love if you would leave us a review on iTunes, tell your friends about us, visit our website, which is empoweredbyiron.com. You can find each of us on Instagram. Mary is at MaryMo_92, and Kristen is at Kristen with an I, Lander. Future topics will include nutrition, programming and training, mental health, and just general female badassery.
Yeah, so let us know what you want to hear. If you have any input, that'd be awesome. And guys, this is Empowered by Iron. We want it to be a resource and an outlet for women who are finding their confidence, their independence, and their strength through iron. So thank you for listening. Thank you for checking in. And until next time, I'm Mary.
I'm Kristen.
And this is Empowered by Iron.